They factor the exact same way that we've been factoring for the past few days, okay? So when you see the word factoring, what does that word tell you to do? What does it tell you to do? What does that mean? So not descriptive. It stands for two things. What should we always do first? Greatest common factor. Always, greatest common factor first. And then, if you can't do, or you can, doesn't matter. Once you've tried the greatest common factor, then it's double bubble. Okay, so when you see the word factoring, it means two things. Look for GCF, and then try to double bubble. Okay, and that's really, really important. We call it factoring because, double bubble is just so much more descriptive, isn't it? Okay. We call it factoring because it goes back to, I could ask you, what are the factors of 21? What are the factors of 21? Give me a pair of factors. 7 times 3 are factors of 21. And what that means is they're two numbers that you multiply together and it gives you the 21. That's what factors are. When you multiply it, it gives you what you want. And that's what we're doing when we double bubble. When we multiply those two bubbles together, when we distribute and multiply, that sort of thing, it gives us what we're trying to factor, okay? And that's why it's called factoring. So today is super easy. Example 1, factor difference of squares. Example 1, factor difference of squares. Lesson. Greatest common factor first. Always. GCF first. So difference of squares is the special name because today we're talking about special patterns. I'll talk more about that name in just a little bit. But we have x squared minus 25. So the first thing we want to check, is there a greatest common factor? No, there's not. I can't divide by anything, so there is no GCF. I don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to jump right to double bubble. So we're going to double bubble, and just like yesterday, first times first must be the first thing. What times what is x squared? X times x. There's no other option there. It's x times x. Well, technically there is. It's negative x times negative x you could do, but less. Okay. All right. And then last times last has to be the last thing. What times what is negative 25? Negative 5 times positive 5. Is there another option?
And 25.
Yeah, negative 25 times 1 is another option. So we do have a couple of options there. But if I have a square number, a number that repeats itself, the 5 and 5, that's what we always want to try first. Okay? So that's that perfect square that we want to use. So we're going to try negative 5 and positive 5. How do you know if you did it right? Rainbow. Check the rainbow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the 3-step process. First times first is the first thing. Last times last is the last thing. And double check the rainbow. So let's check that rainbow. X times positive 5 is 5x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And what do you get when you add those together? 0 x's, which is why there is no middle term. Would we ever, technically you could write it plus 0x minus 25. But do we ever see zeros in equations like this? No, it's never. We don't write those, so that's why there's no middle term. It cancels out, okay? So this is our factored form. All right, letter B. 18a squared minus 8b squared. First question, is there a GCF? 2. We can take out a 2. So we're going to divide each term by 2 and relocate that 2 out in front. Take out the 2. Take it out in front. It's like reel it in. Reel it in if you're fishing. All right, how does this clean up when we take out the 2? 18 divided by 2 is 9a squared. 9a squared minus, and then here, 4b squared. Very good. Okay, good. All right, so we took out the GCF, and now we try to double bubble the leftovers. So we're going to try to double bubble on the inside there. First times first has to be the first thing. What times what is 9a squared? 3a times 3a. Very good. Is that the only possibility? No, but it's the best possibility. Yeah. Okay. And then last times last has to be the last thing. What times what is negative 4b squared? Negative 2b times positive 2b, or vice versa. Is that the only option? No. Negative 4b times 1b also works, but again, if we have something that's a square, it's self-repeated, then that's what we're going to use. So negative 2b and positive 2b. And how do you know if you did it right? Check the rainbow. Very good. So we're going to check the rainbow. 3a times 2b is 6ab. Very good. Negative 2b times positive 3a is negative 6ab. And what happens when we combine those? 0 ab's, which is why there is 0 middle term. There is no middle term. Yes, sir.
So if there's just not a middle term to start out with, you can just immediately assume it's just going to be 0.
Yes. The question was if you don't have a middle term to start out with, can you just assume that it's a 0? And yes, yes. Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, this x squared minus 25 is called difference of squares. 9a squared minus 4b squared is called difference of squares. And the reason is because, first of all, the difference refers to subtraction, okay? And squares refers to perfect square numbers. So x times x, that's repeated itself. That's a perfect square number. 25 is 5 times 5. That is a perfect square number, okay? 9a squared is 3a times 3a. That's another perfect square. And then 4b squared, 2 times 2, 2b times 2b is another perfect square number. So when you have difference of 2 perfect squares, they're always going to double bubble factor into these lovely little patterns. The sum and the difference pattern, sum and difference. Same numbers, different signs. See that? So every single time, this could be super fast, ladies and gentlemen, super fast. All right, here we go. Example 2. Factor each perfect square trinomial is the special name for this type. Perfect square trinomial. Trinomial means what? Three terms. And you can see 1, 2, 3 terms here, 1, 2, 3 terms. The others had 2 terms. The perfect square trinomial. A perfect square is, again, very telling language. But it's a trinomial, and we can try to factor. The first thing I want to do here, we have x squared y squared plus 12xy plus 36. I want to look for a GCF. Is there a greatest common factor? Yes? No? What do you think? Can I? No. Yeah, okay. I might think 2. Those are both divisible by 2. They're both divisible by 6, but I can't take a 6 out of here. Yeah. Okay. So there's no GCF, so we're going to jump right to double bubble. First times first has to be the first term. What times what is x squared, y squared? xy times xy. Very good. xy times xy. And then last times last has to be the last term. What times what is positive 36? 6 times 6 or negative 6 times negative 6. And there's lots of other options, right? 12 times 3, 9 times 4, 18 times 2, just to give you a few of them. 36 is kind of a super number. Which one are we going to go with?
6.
Positive 6 and positive 6, and why?
Because everything else is positive.
Okay, because everything else is positive, yeah. But also this is a perfect square. Yeah, and that's, hey, big hint right there. So use perfect square. So plus 6 and plus 6. How do you know if you did it right? Check the rainbow. So xy times 6 is 6xy, and 6 times xy is 6xy. And we add those up, what do we get? 12xy. There is the middle term, ladies and gentlemen. That is where the middle term comes from. It comes from the rainbow. Not anything else but the rainbow. Okay? So this is a lovely answer. Is there another way we could write that? Like it's just repeated itself, right? So if you use negative 6 and negative 6, when you multiply, you get negative 6xy and negative 6xy, and that would give us negative 12xy. So we do have to be careful with the signs. Could I write it xy plus 6 quantity squared? Does that mean the same thing? Yes, it does. It says repeat it 2 times. So that's it, repeated 2 times. So either one of those forms is good. All right, letter B, 16a squared minus 24ab plus 9b squared. First things first, is there a GCF? No. I mean, maybe. There's lots of numbers here. I think divide by 2, that doesn't divide by 2. That doesn't divide by 3. So doesn't quite work there. So we're going to jump right to double bubble. First times first has to be the first term. What times what is 16a squared? 4a times 4a. Is that the only option? No. 8a times 2a or 16a times 1a. But why would we go with 4a times 4a? Perfect square. Very good. 4a times 4a. And now, last times last has to be the last term. What times what is positive 9b squared? Negative 3a times negative 3a, or positive 3a times positive 3a. Oh, b. Thank you. Thank you. Whoops. Yeah, b's, not a's. B's. Lots of b's. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. And we could do 9b times 1b, but which one are we going to go with? Negative 3b times negative 3b. Again, that is a perfect square. And we need it to be a negative result here. So negative 3b and negative 3b. How do you know if you did it right? Check the rainbow. I'm a little bit repetitive this week, right? Like, how many times have I said this? Ooh, baby. A lot. Okay. Like that might be a great thing to write on your test next week. You will have a test next week on this. 4a times negative 3b is negative 12ab. Negative 3b times 4a is negative 12ab. And when we add those together, what do we get? Negative 24ab, our lovely middle term there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions for me? First times first, last times last, check the rainbow, right?